including cars, stunts, and over the...
My name is Glenn Beck. I used to be somebody. I really remember quite who. Except I was an American. Yes, I know. Oh, he's one of them. Listen to me. If you find this recording, please humor an old man. Just hear me out. This may be my last recording. I have so much to tell you, so much more to tell you. I don't know where to start. Your history books have it all wrong. All of the history is wrong. They say the winner gets to write the history books. You probably have never even heard that saying before. Good reason. The last winner made sure of that. But before my time is up, I want to set the record straight. I felt like I was supposed to do that my whole life. Set the record straight. And time is not on my side. It is certainly not on my side. 2 months. 2 months it took me to find these. Quite the commodity now. You lose your life for these. I don't know how long they'll last, but I don't know how long I'll last. These bones have seen better days, and praise God, he will call me home soon. If he doesn't, well, I suppose it's only a matter of time before they find me. We all know what happens and what my fate will be. People like me. Old people. Things could have been different. Your children, your grandchildren, my grandchildren. It doesn't have to be this way. Doesn't. You know, somewhere inside of you, you know this isn't right. You feel it. Something inside of you. You listen to the talk and you know it's not right. It wasn't always this way. It used to be great. Oh, we had our problems.
Fighters battling ISIS on the ground in northern Iraq.
Protests that have been largely peaceful over the last few months erupted after the grand jury's decision.
People would hate each other and kill each other. We would argue over things, but it was still great. We were free. We were free. You were born to be free. I know this is a revolutionary thought, but it was meant to be. All men are created equal and endowed by their Creator. Yes, with certain inalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is true. What I'm about to show you will change everything. Everything. It will challenge everything you think you know. Just hear me out. I want to take you back to where it started, back to the beginning. I'll show you where we lost our way and how we chose the path that got us in this mess.
Keep you there not much more, 15, 20 minutes. and run another.
I can't take you all the way back. It started 100 years before the year I want to take you back. But this was the year of a tipping point, I think. I'm not sure if anybody actually saw it at the time. I know my own children. My own children didn't understand what would come. But it was this year, it was 2014, that things began to accelerate. And people changed. I don't know if it was fear or ignorance. I suppose it doesn't matter now, but we all went dead inside. We all went numb. We all stopped seeing. You have to open your eyes. You have to see the world for what it really is and who you really are. Because you can be great again. Believe it. Believe it. I have seen it. I have seen it with my own eyes, what the individual is capable of. Both the miraculous and the terrifying.
And a Malaysia Airlines plane carrying 239 people bound for Beijing is missing.
40 years ago, 2014, your history books claim that was the year of the dawn of progressivism, the dawn of a new beginning. The end of capitalism. I'll tell you now, it was that. That this new era of equality and diversity and tolerance, I beg to differ with your history book. Get your books. I was there. I saw it. I remember 2014. I remember 4 words that came to me. There was a clash of the evil Tea Partiers. There was a clash on a ranch in the middle of the country. A man said that he had a right to his own land.
It's freedom and liberty and access to our land, and get rid of this abusive government.
It was at that time that I heard, I will never forget it in my prayers, 4 words, and so it begins.
Game time. Everything I've been talking about the last 5 years, it's on. Now it begins. And so it begins.
We've entered a new period. I could feel it. We entered a new period. And so it begins.
Over and over again, I saw it. Over and over again, I heard it. I was like Nebuchadnezzar without Daniel. Sorry. You probably don't even know what that means. Right. I'm not crazy. I was naive, but I was not crazy. I was the naive one who, if that could be heard back in 2014, Glenn Beck was the naive one. I didn't know what it meant, but now 40 years later, and so it begins, I know exactly what it means. I want to show you something. This I saved. This is called an iPhone.
This is one device, iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
We saved everything on our iPhones. Great pieces of music, great books, literature, our news. We could talk to each other all around the world. We could see what was happening on the other side of the planet and interact with it. All of my pictures but one of my family are on here. I will see them again soon, I suppose. This is the way we used to have them. We would put them in our pockets and we'd keep them. We weren't always embedded. I removed mine. Yes, I'm a rebel. Instead, we carried these. They were a dime a dozen. You figure out what a dime is some other time. And so it begins. That's where we... No.
Well, it is the season for identity theft, and every gift we buy in a store or online, or a debit card, a credit card, only increases our risk of being exposed to this growing crime, a crime that can take years to fix. And nobody can stop all identity theft, but the most comprehensive identity theft protection available comes from LifeLock. LifeLock Ultimate Plus. It helps protect your Social Security number, your bank and retirement accounts, even the equity in your home. Protect yourself with LifeLock Ultimate Plus. Do it right now. Visit LifeLock.com, enter the promo code BlazeTV, or call and mention Blaze TV and save 10%. The number is at the bottom of the screen. It's 1-800-417-2361, 800-417-2361. Again, remember, mention Blaze TV and you'll save 10%. So call them now and protect yourself. 1-800-417-2361, LifeLock.com.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just doing some last-minute shopping. Yeah, you know, it's right on top of us. Yeah, a week from today. Wow, does time fly? You got some shopping to do? Now is the time to get great gifts for, well, everybody on your list, but especially for that hard-to-shop-for person, and we all have one of those. You know who I'm talking about, right? Get an Overstock e-gift card and let them get what they really want.
Overstock.com has everything you need. Designer clothes, brand names you know for underneath the tree. Many gifts to choose, like watches, toys, and shoes. Diamond rings and lots of things that everyone can use. Oh, shop from home, Overstock.com. Buy online, saves you time, gifts for everyone.
Value the holidays with Overstock.
And look, you know, my family and I would always, back in the past, we'd always talk about, we should do Christmas like 2 days after Christmas, because then you can hit the really good sales and all that stuff. And that's a great idea, especially when you have the gift card option and those hard-to-shop-for loved ones. Don't forget the handy tool, the gift finder. You can find that at Overstock.com as well. And I'm not going to say anything about who it was around here, but someone was using the gift finder, I believe it was yesterday, and found a very nice pair of boots for someone else, who I'm not going to tell, but if you're... No, I can't tell. But someone's getting a very nice pair of boots from Overstock.com. Make sure you get your shopping done. Get it done today.
Don't be blowing gift prizes, secrets, and
I can
stuff.
see them right now.
All right, does this not look like the prettiest presentation of Christmas cookies? Well, guess what? It's not Christmas cookies. I'm just saying, this is freeze-dried ice cream. And this is going, come on, Brad, you can have some ice cream. Our freeze dryer is going 24/7, making peppermint ice cream and cherry cordial ice cream into, you want a Christmas cookie? You can't beat this. Everybody absolutely loves it. Here was our Christmas cookie fail that we were trying in the kitchen a little bit earlier. All I did here is I cut the box open and I chunked it up into chunks. And I mean, is that not beautiful? This is one of the fun things that we're doing with our Harvest Right freeze dryer. Our new CEO, Betsy, was in the other day, and she likes to eat healthy, and she has to travel all the time. And so she has to travel all the time. And so she was looking for some fresh veggies and some fruits to carry when she's traveling. We hooked her up. She is absolutely hooked on this. If you're somebody that wants to eat nutritionally sound, the way to do it, freeze dry the stuff that you want to travel with, all kinds of great stuff to put on salads. I love to freeze dry tomatoes and all types of veggies. Fruits freeze dried are great on salads. Freeze drying was not an option in your home until just a short time ago. About a $30,000 unit was the only thing you could get, and it was a commercial unit, and didn't really hold as much as this one does. This one's much more affordable for the home. It is brilliant. It's a lot of fun. It's my new toy. I run this thing all the time and have a blast with it. You will too. Go to harvestright.com. Check it out. Call the number. Ask your questions. Have some fun. Harvestright.com.
Let's start with energy. 2014, everything was cheap. We thought at the time it was expensive.
The price continues to climb to record-breaking numbers.
A new report out this morning will reveal the cost increase of everything from food to appliances.
If only we knew. We had an idea to build a giant pipeline that would put oil all the way from way up north all the way down across the country, but we never opened it up. We never built it.
The Senate turned down the Keystone XL pipeline bill.
It's the filthiest, dirtiest oil.
The 60-vote threshold having not been achieved, the bill is not passed.
It's a political football, and I think that's all they're using it for, instead of passing it for the workers and for the best interests of the United States.
They said that it would destroy us, that fossil fuels would be our undoing. You've heard this before. But they said that our shorelines would change, that ice caps would melt. We'd see storms like we never had before.
Evidence that the Earth is warming is unequivocal, and emissions of greenhouse gases from cars, power plants, and factories are primarily to blame.
Productivity of crops is slowing down due to climate change. There are effects on human health. That is, more people are dying due to heat waves, due to climate change.
As the world's two largest economies, energy consumers, and emitters of greenhouse gases, we have a special responsibility to lead the global effort against climate change.
This was the beginning of calls of denier. 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 Witch! Science was settled. People's reputations, their jobs, worse. What all of the books say now, how they justify making us sit around for a stiff breeze to push windmills round and round. Hope for sunny days, just juice up a solar field that gives us this. Fire. Best I can tell, the Jersey Shore is still the Jersey Shore, but I haven't seen it for a while. Polar ice caps. I don't know how those polar bears are doing. Probably better off than we are. They keep the green racket going. Books started to teach us that green energy saved us. You listen to me. If all of this is being saved, I don't know if we want it to be saved. Right now, no matter what anybody tells you, you're sitting on enough energy in the ground and in the mountains to power us for thousands of years. We had a choice, and we started to make it. I remember 2014, the year that I heard, and so it begins.
And so it begins.
And so it begins.
We had a choice to start tapping it. They said, no, we have to conserve. And they used these agencies in the government. Nobody remembers their letters anymore except those of us who are left of my age. The EPA was one of them. Regulations on energy producers. The framework was built to force a move away from the fossil fuels. Since we couldn't drill at home, we relied on the Middle East, when ships were still coming across the great ocean. We relied on our good friends in the Middle East. It caused instability, worst possible place to depend on critical resources. We were blind. So then we did something incredibly stupid. We took an already unstable area, and then we fanned the flames of revolution.
There are entire neighborhoods like this one which have been completely
with different groups battling for their own interests. Many here believe Iraq can no longer survive as one state.
We stirred the hornet's nest. We left a trail of chaos across the region. And on top of that, our politicians in Washington, which are no better than the politicians today, not in bed with the Middle Eastern countries, and the region deteriorated. Oil fields burned. You'll recognize this in your history book. This is democracy. This is what democracy looks like. That's how they sold it to us. We were supposedly setting the Middle East free. Free. Just as free as you are now. Free for terrorists and dictators and tyrants. Kings. Extremists, all of them. 2014, there was a group of people, they were called ISIS.
ISIS still controls more than 10,000 square miles of Iraq and Syria.
They started to recruit people from all over the world because we had lost our way. We didn't stand for anything anymore.
ISIS is targeting impressionable teenagers and calling on them to fight. Young Muslim girls are being lured to jihad as a way of giving meaning to their lives.
And teenage girls were joining them to fight, even though they were beheading women who would walk out of the street, and organizations who claimed they were into diversity would stand by their side, even though they would stone them and kill them and behead them because they were different.
A masked executioner stands over the severed head of a man he identified as Peter Kasich.
Their threats no longer scared anyone, as our threats were empty threats.
The group plans to retaliate by intensifying its attacks.
Police officers in riot gear positioned themselves outside the Lindt Chocolate Cafe in central Sydney, guns drawn as an armed suspect held hostages inside.
He has asked that the ISIL flag be brought immediately to the Lindt Cafe.
Your textbooks called this the age of diplomacy. America was the shining beacon in the world for years. Everyone looked to security and peace from the United States, but all that changed. America threatened Syria and ISIS, and we telegraphed. We told them what we wouldn't do. No boots on the ground, our president said.
It will not involve American combat troops fighting on foreign soil. This counterterrorism campaign will be waged through a steady, relentless effort to take out ISIL wherever they exist using our air power.
During the bombings, they took our guns and our weapons and used it against us and lived to fight another day.
The extremist group Islamic State of Iraq and Syria says it was behind yesterday's deadly blast in Baghdad.
Meanwhile, our good friends, Russia and China, I don't know if these names mean anything to you anymore. They seized on America's age of diplomacy. And when the seeds of revolution spread to a place called the Ukraine, America tried to unleash this diplomacy, warned Russia, don't take any action.
Pro-Russian separatists and Ukrainian government forces faced 5 months of fighting that's left more than 2,500 people dead.
When Russia ignored us and responded with a show of force and annexed a whole region, we were humiliated, big deal. We were humiliated. We couldn't be humiliated now, could we? Oh, if we had only humbled ourselves.
Well, the elections are over and the Republicans won the Senate. Yay! Yay! No more Harry Reid. Instead, we have what's-his-face from Kentucky. So what's the next 2 years going to be like? Bickering, both sides ganging up on the Tea Party, electing Elizabeth Warren? I have no idea. But I do know this. We have real constitutionalists now in the House and the Senate, and we now need a constitutional agenda, one that is based on our founders' vision of a prosperous America. We need an agenda, one that we can believe in and that we can explain, one that we can stand behind, one that's not about crony capitalism, one that's about freedom. Tell FreedomWorks what issues are important to you. Go to freedomworksforme.com. Do it right now. The Republicans must know you are there standing guard. Go to freedomworksforme.com and do it now.
By now, you know you can listen to the Blaze Radio Network on your computer. But when you download the Blaze app or the iHeartRadio app, you can bring us everywhere. Listen to Doc on your way to work. Bring Glenn on the job. Work out with Buck Sexton. Listen to Jay while mowing the lawn. Or bring Pat and Stu with you on your vacation. Yep, even here. Find out more ways to listen to the Blaze Radio Network at theblaze.com/radio.
This is not some abstraction.
Because we're going to prove that
Keeping up can be overwhelming. But with FireWire from The Blaze, you get the biggest stories sent straight to your inbox with exclusive content on faith, technology, business, and more. Sign up for FireWire today at theblaze.com/newsletter.
When demand is high, so is opportunity. There is only so much silver in the world, and over half of all silver produced each year is used in industries that make products like cell phones, cars, and computers. This industrial demand is one reason silver has performed so well, and why some analysts are predicting a future surge in silver demand. Since silver is the lowest priced precious metal, shouldn't you see how silver can help diversify your portfolio? Goldline has been helping people acquire precious metals like gold and silver for over 50 years. Getting started is easy. Just call the number on your screen to receive our free investor kit. Shipping is free. You pay the same price using cash or credit card. And qualifying orders are eligible for Goldline's Price Guarantee Program. Call now to get started, because greater silver demand creates greater opportunities.
Overstock.com has everything you need. Designer clothes, brand names you know for underneath the tree. Many gifts to choose, like watches, toys, and shoes. Diamond rings and lots of things that everyone can use. Shop from home, Overstock.com. Buy online, saves you time, gifts for everyone.
Value the holidays with Overstock.
From New York, the truth, the headlines, right now.
I'm Lori Dew. Federal prosecutors suing New York City today for extensive civil rights violations in the handling of adolescent inmates at the Rikers Island jail complex. The action intended to speed up reforms and address what a Justice Department investigation found was a, quote, deep-seated culture of violence towards the teenagers. The move coming a day after Mayor Bill de Blasio announced the end of solitary confinement for 16 and 17-year-olds there. And President Obama commuting lengthy prison sentences for 8 people convicted of drug offenses and issuing pardons to 12 other federal convicts. The 8 men and women, all low-level offenders who served at least 10 years in prison. They're the first inmates to get reduced sentences as part of the administration's change of clemency criteria announced in April. The 12 who were pardoned were serving sentences from previous decades. More headlines at theblaze.com.
America looked at things differently then. You know, we used to have paper money. It was called the dollar. Carried around in a wallet. None of this, listen to me, it was once the world standard. And it was looked at differently. Beijing and Moscow, they saw that dollar the envy of the world.
Banks and money exchanges have been packed by the lucky few with dollars to cash in, scooping up rubles at cut-rate prices after catastrophic losses against the dollar this week.
You can't blame them entirely, but they took advantage of us. Our own banking system, a corporation called the Federal Reserve. Everybody thought that it was part of the government. It wasn't part of the government. It was a corporation. It was a bank. It was big business. They started printing $85 billion a month. Your books say that it saved the economy. I beg to differ. He said unemployment dropped. I beg to differ. Everybody knew. Almost 100 million people. Almost 100 million people gave up looking for work. I know that number sounds small now. Back then, that was quite a number. Picture would have been clearer, I guess, if we would have paid attention. You're taught that the government creates jobs, not what was called the private sector. They say the government stimulates the economy. That started in 2014.
U.S. taxpayers lost $11.2 billion on the government bailout of General Motors. 3 former top government officials will answer questions about the rescue of insurance giant AIG.
Hating of private businesses. Private businesses held the economy together despite the constant attempts from the federal government to damage it, to destroy it, to discredit it. It was private business. It employed most of the people. I'm going to tell you a story of a place that only if you were my age would you believe it existed. But I tell you, it did exist. They were stores. The size of the biggest building you'd ever seen. And they had food on the shelves. Food. We could go in and we could buy whatever we wanted. Not like this. Fresh. Fruit. Vegetables. Meat. Cows. We used to eat cows. This store, 1.3 million people, had a job in this place called Walmart.
With Walmart's everyday low prices, you can help them find what they love and make every day count. Save money, live better. Walmart.
Private businesses that attempted to revive our economy, revive space travel. Yes, we went to the moon.
I'm going to step off the limb. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We went to the moon. I was alive. I watched a man walk on the moon. I know it was real. I know it was real. Then our government discredited all the private businessmen who said they wanted to go up into space. That individuals could go into space, search the stars. There was a man, some called him crazy, some called him a dreamer. But before they started calling him criminal, Richard Branson took his own money, attempt to breach the envelope of the sky and slip into space.
I have dreamed of going into space since I saw the first moon landings as a boy. And now here we are, about to launch the world's first commercial space line.
It was in 2014 that the space disasters began.
The crash marks a major setback for British billionaire Richard Branson and his company, Virgin Galactic. They've spent the past decade chasing the dream of sending paying passengers to the edge of space.
We've always known that commercial space travel is an incredibly hard project. We've been undertaking a comprehensive testing program for many years, and safety has always been our #1 priority.
Media blamed the arrogant rich man for thinking he could do what only the government does. Arrogance, they said. What your books fail to mention was when we did go to the moon, how many times we lost people on the launch pad that the government had built.
It looked like a perfect launch, but just seconds later, the base of the unmanned rocket suddenly became engulfed in flames as it fell back to Earth and exploded in a massive ball of fire.
What they failed to mention was just a few months before Richard Branson lost men, a government rocket exploded into 1,000,000 pieces. This was the beginning of our end of exploration, our looking down instead of up. But we had so many other things to worry about. We invited the enemy on our own shores. They said it was the war on Ebola.
An individual traveling from Liberia has been diagnosed with Ebola in the United States.
If it was a war, why did we invite the enemy into our own camp?
I love this. I love the way Uno just is never quite on his bed entirely. Kind of like the way the Fed works. In the ballpark generally with a solid dollar, but not really. May I talk to you about Goldline? If you're thinking about buying gold, now is a great time to look into it. Last month, gold reached 4.5-year lows. Goldline's unprecedented price shield will protect your qualifying purchase with exclusive bullion coins for up to a year. The U.S. debt now over $18 billion. I read an article in the Zero Hedge just this week said it is officially past the point of no return. It is not sustainable. So when do you buy precious metals? When do you buy gold or silver? You can buy them when you're panicked, or you can buy them right now when they're low. This is the time that you buy them. Read Goldline's important risk information and find out if precious metals is right for you. 800-757-GOLD. Do it right now.
Okay, now this looks good. This is just in time for Christmas. It's a story of faith and hope in the middle of some pretty brutal circumstances. It's the new movie Unbroken, based on the enormously popular book by Laura Hillenbrand. Here's a quick peek.
You keep going the way you're going, you end up on the street. If you can take it, you can make it.
He was a rebel who became a champion. A soldier
And by 4 o'clock,
who became a survivor. On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story
we're not dying!
of an American hero.
Who is the Olympic athlete?
And the courage
Don't look at me.
that will bring him home.
If I can take it, I can make it.
Unbroken, rated PG-13.
Incredible. Unbroken is the story of Louis Zamperini. He was an Olympic athlete and a soldier whose plane went down in the Pacific during World War II. Things went from helpless to hopeless when Zamperini and his fellow survivors were then captured by the Japanese Navy and sent to a prisoner of war camp. I mean, unbelievable. The true story of faith and power of the human spirit is rated PG-13, which means that you can take the family.
Yeah, you can take the younger ones.
Yeah, exactly. It opens a week from today on Christmas, but you can see previews and clips and learn a lot more about this incredible story at unbrokenfilm.com. And this was the Angelina Jolie.
This is the one, if you saw in the news headlines, that drove Angelina Jolie to her knees in prayer when they were working on it. This is the movie that they were talking about.
Got goosebumps just now. Unbrokenfilm.com. And now, to lighten things up a bit, here's Joel West with a broad voice Christmas treat.
If you want better service when you're talking on the phone, if you're fed up with those high prices, son, you're not alone. And you've got friends and family spread across America. Well, have a ball and call them all. You can even call Canada, 'cause it's a broad voice Christmas from here to Halifax. You can call your grandpa, and he can call you back. It's a broad voice Christmas, you hear me loud and clear. And first 3 months are free, how's that for Christmas cheer? Yeah, you heard me correctly, oh what more could you want? You pay absolutely nothing for those first 3 months. You get features like email voice messages and call forwarding. You can even block the number of that weirdo from last spring, 'cause it's a broad voice Christmas, I'm singing it again. You can keep your number, it won't cost you a cent. It's a broad voice Christmas, and when your first 3 months are through, it's only $9.95 a month. That's our Christmas gift to you. It's only $9.95 a month. That's our Christmas gift to you.
Broadvoice.com and Merry Christmas.
Ebola. Ebola. The one before the Great Plague. We invited it in, and we didn't learn our lesson.
Nina Pham, a 26-year-old nurse at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital, contracted the virus while caring for Thomas Eric Duncan, the Liberian man who died of Ebola in Dallas last week.
New York City Dr. Craig Spencer is the 4th person to be diagnosed with Ebola in the United States.
It came to our shores from Africa.
In West Africa, more than 10,000 people have now been infected with Ebola. Nearly half have died.
The vaccine was made by a corporation. Not all of them were bad. They're made by a corporation in San Diego, California. That was in the United States of America then. It's a possible cure. Came from the private sector when we still had the greatest healthcare system in the world. Don't believe the lies. The government tried to take over the industry. And at the time we thought it was funny. It had one of the most remarkably bad rollouts of all time. Something called the internet.
House lawmakers are probing technical issues that led to the disastrous rollout of healthcare.gov.
This was a monumental mistake to go live and effectively explode on the launch pad.
Everybody could use it then. The government rescued us from big drug companies. Let me tell you something. I'm over 90 years old now. I know a little something about needing a rescue. And I don't exactly fall anywhere on the useful side of the scale for the complete live system. And so it begins.
And so it begins.
That's what I heard. And I first heard the story in 2014 of a young girl named Brittany. She was such a beautiful girl. She lived in Oregon. She took her own life. This is the first time death with dignity was celebrated. Oh, I know that seems strange. Death with dignity is normal for you. But in my day, only a small handful had done that. No one at the time seemed to mind all that much, but deep inside we knew it was wrong. She was called Brave.
Diagnosed with an incurable brain cancer, family members say Brittany Maynard wanted to leave this world on her own terms.
I'm not ashamed to attach my name to what I think is a right that should belong to all terminally ill Americans.
But only 700 people had tried that before. Doctors routinely prescribe deaths now. But there was a time where life meant something more. You had control of your own life, and families were together. Children loved their parents, and parents loved their children. We were responsible for one another. We didn't get it right. We didn't have perfect. We didn't wake up in time. We would have just seen each other for what we were, brothers and sisters. Maybe things would change, but life was a precious artifact at the time. It still is. Something to be treasured, not trashed, not discarded. We were silent. I still don't know why. We were afraid. Afraid of man. Oh, fear the one who has power over my soul. I want to show you some things. They might be shocking to you, but they were commonplace in my day. And they do not make you a madman or a dangerous man or a hateful person. I keep them hidden down here. In the mattress, I've cut a hole. Two things that I knew would go away. First is a gun. I don't know if in the end I could use it. I've never had to make that choice. And this, the most precious of all. It's called a book. It was God's book. And in it are some of the greatest stories you can imagine. Stories of ancient times gone by and ancient peoples. The Israelites. We feared the wrong people. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul, and he leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff comfort me. Thou prepares a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me in all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord. Nursery rhymes. Revolutionary thought. Truth.
You're watching The Blaze.
lives here.
Free will is a powerful thing. You can choose to be so many things. Heroic or humble. Selfish or selfless. Creative or destructive. Good or evil. So if you could wipe the slate clean, who would you be? The truth lives here.
The Great Depression, hurricanes, floods, job losses, pandemics, and medical emergencies. Time and time again, Americans find themselves dependent on an overextended and incompetent government, incapable of delivering even the most basic necessities in a crisis. Despite history's multiple warnings, millions put off preparing until it's too late. Discover how you can avoid that same fate right now. Go to disasterplan123.com. Meet the Americans preparing our citizens for the next natural disaster or economic collapse. At disasterplan123.com, watch never-before-seen footage of a state-of-the-art preparedness facility that produces the items which could save your life and the lives of millions of other Americans when disaster strikes. Don't be lulled into complacency. Heed history's warnings and go to disasterplan123.com right now. That's disasterplan123.com.
Tired of paying your enormous phone bills? Well, BroadVoice now offers monthly phone service for just $9.95 a month for unlimited calls. What did you write the check for last month for your home phone service? Well, switch to BroadVoice, keep the same phone number you have now, and it literally takes just minutes. You can even use the BroadVoice service on your mobile phone as well. Go online to broadvoice.com and get the first 3 months free, then it's only $9.95 a month with unlimited calling. Make the switch right now. Start saving money with broadvoice.com.
Bringing a firearm into your home is one of the most important decisions you can make. If you are considering gun ownership, CheaperThanDirt.com is here to help you make a responsible and informed choice. We understand it is a personal decision how you choose to protect your family. We offer thousands of choices of firearms, ammunition, and accessories to suit your individual needs. Be responsible, be proactive, and exercise your Second Amendment right. Find us online at CheaperThanDirt.com. That's CheaperThanDirt.com.
Looking for the perfect gift to buy this year? Something unique and well made by quality craftsmen? Then shop the Marketplace by the Blaze for special gifts from our selection of small business owners. Like Minuteman Watches, offering durable, handcrafted, American-made watches for the most demanding military and civilian customers. So this holiday season, give a gift that matters. Shop the Marketplace by the Blaze to find the perfect gift for your loved one. Visit blazemarketplace.com today.
I met the CEO of Overstock.com a couple of months ago. His name is Patrick Byrne. And what struck me most about Patrick was his honesty, his transparency, and the guy is wicked, wicked smart. And he understands not just what we once were, but what we really can be and should be again. Patrick knows he can't change the country alone, so he makes an impact wherever he can. And he's done it by creating a culture at Overstock that should be a model for any company. It is a model for us. It's simple. It's 3 words. People before profits. That's it. He has infused that phrase into every part of the culture at Overstock, and that's what taken their business to over $1.3 billion in sales last year and lots of profit. And the lesson is, when you put people before profits, you end up with plenty of profit for everybody, because it's good for everybody. There's a lot of places you can buy stuff online, but Patrick and his team of over 1,500 employees ask you this: let them earn your business, please. Go to Overstock.com. You'll find everything you need. First quality merchandise, Overstock prices.
And so it begins. The year 2014. It didn't seem like a big deal at the time. Perhaps it wouldn't have been if we all would have paid attention. 40 years ago, men used to preach this in churches and great halls. They would open the scriptures and they would read without fear from these pages. Men of God would stand, but too few stood. When it began in Houston, a group stood, when the government demanded that they hand over all of their sermons that disagreed with the government.
Pro bono attorneys for the city made a broad request to see copies of all sermons preaching about the mayor's hotly contested equal rights ordinance, homosexuality, and the mayor herself.
For a city government to step into the churches and ask pastors to turn in their sermons and all their speeches, it's gone too far.
Is that what we're about? Is that one nation under God, or is that one nation under a government's thumb?
You see, government had become our God. The laws of the day, not the laws of Moses. This became a book of hate. We mock the Israelites. When I was a boy, used to read this and think the most incredible thing in it was how soon they forgot. We would read their stories and say, what was wrong with them? How did they not see what was coming? They were just like the pilgrims. I know, I've heard the stories. Pilgrims were nothing more than America's terrorists.
She tells me that although they're going to cover the Pilgrims, they're not going to emphasize them because of all the violence and the fact that they were essentially America's first terrorists.
Oh my gosh.
It's not true. They were fleeing tyranny. They were yearning to be free. They wanted to chart their own course as every man has a right to. You don't have that luxury. Because we lost our way and failed to stand up and failed to think. Think! 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 So few of us, so many of them. Now our gods are the government and our preachers are the politicians. And they preach the salvation, the saving power of the collective. Who is the collective? I've never met the collective before. But in this darkness with my God, with the knowingness and the surety that I will see my children again soon. I will see my wife again soon. I have peace because I believe. I believe in the power of one. I believe in that one. To a lesser degree, I believe in this one. And I believe in you. I know it is real. An ocean can ripple and make great waves. But it all starts with a single drop. What? Don't listen to them. Please don't listen to them. We can be great again. You can be great. You can do anything. Just don't listen to them. Don't believe the lies. You were born for a reason.